Super. Überlegen. Hey,
Hey, how's my audio? Okay.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching. You can support our work on our website ageoftruth.tv. And please like our videos, subscribe to our channels on YouTube, BitChute and Brighteon. And remember to hit the bell for notifications. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook. To be sure not to miss any of our shows, you can sign up for our newsletter on our website ageoftruth.tv.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Age of Truth TV. I'm Lucas Alexander in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's the 2nd of February 2023 and we are ready with an explosive, a fascinating episode of our show with one of the most well-known faces within the arena researching the controversial topic of flat earth theory. He believes that we are living underneath a dome on a flat plane, not on a spinning globe. He has a lot of information to share with all of us, and we are going in depth today when we meet David Weiss, also known to his followers as Flat Earth Dave. Good evening from Copenhagen, Denmark. This is Age of Truth TV and our website is ageoftruth.tv. We are on YouTube, BitChute, Brighteon and other platforms, but you can find us on our website ageoftruth.tv if everything else crumbles. Thank you and good evening to our very, very special guest tonight. David Weiss, joining us from Cancun, Mexico, where he is at the moment. To most people on his platform and people who know his work, he is known to people as Flat Earth Dave. And I want to say thank you very much. This is a wonderful, fascinating, intriguing, and very controversial topic. The topic of flat earth, and we want to get as deep into what that whole thing is all about because I know that you're an expert and you've been studying this for many years. But first of all, Dave, welcome on Age of Truth TV.
Thanks for having me, Lucas. I'm glad to be here, and I love talking to people that have an open mind. And what I say is, don't open your mind so much that your brain falls out. Don't believe anything I say. I'm going to point to some doors that you've never seen before, and I want you to use your God-given senses and think about them.
Great. And our show is, of course, we've heard just about everything here on Age of Truth TV. We always ask critical questions with discernment, but always with an open mind and an open heart. And we love to have a very good debate. And certainly this is a topic that has been dividing the truth community for several years now. I mean, this is almost like what we see in the world happening to us, you know, the Hegelian dialectic splitting, divide and conquer. And this is a big topic because a lot of people are now realizing in themselves that they feel that the truth is that the earth is flat, a flat plane underneath a dome. And this is also what you believe, and you have to take us through all of that today. But of course, regular science and everything we've been taught as when we're children and all through our lives, this is a spinning ball, a globe, and that the earth is round. And all of that makes sense, obviously, when you look at the regular science that we've been told. But before you go in and you have a great argument and you can go on for a long time, I just want to touch on something, let's say, find common ground here with you, first of all, Dave. And that is, we are in this strange and crazy upside down world on this earth, whether it's flat or whether it's actually a spinning globe. What we are facing, all of us on this planet, the entire population of the earth, is that the top elitists want to implement a new world order through the Great Reset and the ongoing UN Agenda 21 for the 21st century, those tactics, Hegelian dialectic, divide and conquer, problem, reaction, solution strategies, and what have you. And they're using all of these means, these world crisis events all of the time for total world dominance, to create a one world government, totalitarian one world government, and one world religion. I do know that I expect that we can totally agree on that. So my first question to you is, when all that is said and done, we all know what we're facing. We're all in the same boat here. And so why do we have to be so concerned about whether or not we're walking a spinning globe around Earth or a flat plane when the world is crumbling around us? Why, flat Earth, Dave, is this such an important topic?
You know, that's a question we all ask, and it's a very intelligent question. And I like it when the people ask that question. Normally it comes up a little bit later after people say, what about sunsets? What about boats over the horizon? What about seasons? And I explain them all away. I explain how they actually prove the earth is flat. And then they throw their hands up and they go, well, what difference does this make? I have to go to work on Monday. Well, I used to say the same thing. I'm in Mexico for a couple months. Okay. I don't have to go to work on Monday because my entire life changed because of this, but that's not what it's about. This is a war against humanity that most people can't even conceptualize. It's an energetic, spiritual war. It's the war to trap our souls. It's a war to disconnect us from creation. It's a war to limit our thoughts because they are afraid of our thoughts. They are more afraid of our collective thoughts. They're trying to divide and conquer. Our thoughts create our reality. And if you take people's thoughts and put them on a globe, right, put them in a prison, you completely limit their power. So why does it matter? We're going to talk about that through the entire show. We're going to keep coming back to it, why it matters. I'm going to add more and more and more to it. But first you have to understand. So you understand that our thoughts create our reality. Everyone, your worst enemy is yourself, is your thoughts, right? Everyone's thoughts create their world. People that live paycheck to paycheck, that's how they think. People that, make millions and lose millions, then make millions again, it's the way that they think. People that have patterns of relationships, patterns of things. It's all the way that you think. And your thoughts, when they're aligned and connected with, reality, really, things manifest really fast in your life.
And that's right? Actually a law of attraction, right? You're talking about a law of manifestation, and thoughts create things. That's basically what you're saying. And then we also get into collective consciousness, huh?
Yes, I used to laugh at that. Excuse me. I have a cough drop on my mouth. I used to laugh at that concept. And then when I started using it, things work. It's amazing how fast things manifest. So let's just talk about what flat Earth is and how it traps your mind, how it puts your mind in a prison, right? So this is a balloon at 127,000 feet. And you can see that this sun right here is not 93 million miles away. It's right there. It's lighting up a hot spot right here on the Earth. So what is it? How far is it? I don't know. It's not 93 million miles away, though. It's right here. And now this Earth, is it spinning 1,000 miles an hour below me? Or I'm disconnected from it, and the balloon, it looks pretty stationary. Okay. If the Earth was a globe, it would be spinning 1,000 miles an hour below me. When people say, well, let me look up flat Earth, they look up and they get images like this. This is not flat Earth. If this was flat Earth, I'd be right there with everyone else laughing at flat Earthers. This is the dumbest thing ever. This is mixing a fake flat Earth model with a fake heliocentric model. No flat Earther thinks that we're a disk, a pancake floating with other round planets, right? And whenever the mainstream media talks about it, they always show this image. Okay, this is not flat Earth. Okay, so what is the globe Earth? Well, if you believe in the heliocentric model, you believe we're doing this. Okay, we are spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. So when you're watching the sunset, it's not going away as it appears and getting lower due to perspective as it appears. You're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. You're on the top of a ball at noon, and you're falling over backwards, which makes the sun appear to go down. You're orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. You're chasing the sun at a 500,000 miles an hour, right? But somehow all of the stars remain the same in the sky. Take a picture of the star any night of the year, same night next year, 10 years, same time. Every star is in the exact same position. To give you an idea of what that is, this is called the hypersonic sled track. I encourage people to just look it up on YouTube so you can hear it. It goes by at Mach 8.6. That's 8.6 times the speed of sound, right? You have to believe, if you live on a spinning ball, that you are orbiting the sun in an elliptical curving orbit, speeding up and slowing down, going approximately 10 times faster than this. You can't even conceive what twice this speed is, let alone 10 times. At the same time, we're chasing the sun at 100 times this speed, right? We're on a lumpy rock surrounded by curved spherical water, surrounded by spherical air, adjacent to a void, a vacuum of space. And the gases don't just fill the space like science says, but when we go out in nature, we see this. What does that tell you? What does this tell you? It's not moving. Is level. Water seeks its level, right? Water seeks its level. When we go out into nature on a calm morning, we see scenes like this, right? I challenge somebody, go in a car.
Yeah, but everybody always say, you know, you have to go really far away from the globe to actually see the curvature and to see that it is round, you know? I mean, even though I also claim myself that I've seen out of an airplane window that I could actually see the curvature when I was flying because we were pretty high up. And I know you probably have an explanation for that because flat earthers do have an explanation for that. But I mean, you feel that you've seen it and even taken pictures out of the window and you have seen it. But I mean, you have to go even further out there, they say, that's the official story, to actually see the fact that it's round. So everything will appear flat, and that's why the mountain and you know, the water is still there in the lake and everything that you're showing. That could easily be explained by, you know, regular science.
So let's talk about that. It's great points, and we're going to talk about them. And these are things that you can actually prove. The first thing is when you're looking out an airplane window, the window is not flat; it's curved. So when you look out the airplane window while you're on the runway, you'll see the same curvature. But when you look into the distance, you see the same distance. You know, the sky meets the ground, and that's the limit of your vision. When perspective brings the ground to the sky, that's as far as you can see. So at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you see the same distance, okay? You see the same distance in all directions. So if you're standing here and you're looking out, you're seeing the same distance, and you see this curve. If I draw a line across here, there's a curve, but that's just the limit of my vision. But my programming tells me, oh, that's a sphere. I see the curvature. But that's not how it works. Because if I followed this curvature around, like if you see curvature in front of you, by the time you turned around, you'd be pointing down at your feet. But reality, the horizon is still at the exact same level all the way around you. It's because you see in a circle. It's the limit of your vision. Right? So, and people don't understand how perspective works, okay? So let's look here. I got a yellow line, an orange line, and a red line. Which is the lower line and which is the higher line? Pretty easy, right?
Are you asking me? I think it's better that you explain it actually, so that we don't get into strange territory. Pardon the pun.
No problem. Everyone's like, well, this line is the higher line. Well, this is not how our eyes see. If I bring this picture back up, right? This bush, the top of this bush right here, is about 15 feet above sea level. The edge of this deck here is about 10 feet above sea level, and this yellow line is sea level. So this is the lowest line, and this is the highest line. This is how our eyes see. It's reverse.
That's
okay?
Perspective. That's how we view
That's
things.
perspective.
Like
now,
a road suddenly disappearing.
Yeah. If we were on a globe, it would be worse because everything curves away and drops down lower and lower, right? But the way we see, the ground ramps up to your eye level and the sky ramps down. Okay, so we've gone up. We've sent balloons up, as I showed you in the first shot, 127,000 feet, and there's no curvature. And then the science propagandists out there, Neil deGrasse Tyson and such, will come out and say, well, you have to go up in a jet fighter, and we show that they show again fisheye lenses and curved windows, and then we're like, look, the one camera didn't have a fisheye lens and it's flat, and so then we show up the balloon, 127,000 feet, no problem. And so now they're like, well, you can't see it even from as high as the space shuttle. They just keep moving the globe posts farther and farther away.
Well, that depends on if the images we get from a space shuttle is real or not, and that can certainly be debated, huh?
Well, let's go down that road in a little while, and I could show you, if they're faking space once, they're faking it all the time. But I'll show you them faking space 100 times.
But Dave, I just want to jump in here with a question I know I should ask in the beginning here, because in regular science, globe Earth and that whole model there makes perfect sense and can easily be explained and is accepted by everybody around the world. And even in fringe science, meaning what also includes conspiracy researchers and scientists who dare to expose hidden truths, globe Earth can also be explained and make perfect sense. But then to you and a lot of people who are into flat Earth research and believe in that can also be explained and be accepted, but just that everything is reversed or upside down. It seems as almost as if both things can, be explained and maybe possibly be real.
So let's address that. On a flat Earth, the horizon is an optical thing that changes with magnification. On a globe Earth, if we're on a ball, there has to be a physical curve that you can't see past at a certain point. And what I mean by that is on a ball, 24,901 miles around, like they tell us, there's a physical horizon. So here's a hallway here. Okay, and it's curved. And if somebody walked around that hallway, you can't see them because they're behind here. So let's flip this hallway over and make it the globe. And here we go. So we'll pretend this is the Earth. Now, if I had a person walk down, down there, they would disappear behind this physical curve right here. Now, if I had a super zoom lens, I couldn't zoom in on them because they're hiding behind a physical curvature. Okay, they're hiding behind a physical curvature, and that curvature, if the ball is 24,901 miles around, is not that far. It's at 3 miles. There's a 6-foot drop. At 3 miles, there's a 6-foot drop. So that means a 6-foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water cannot see the surface of the water beyond 3 miles because it drops below a physical curve. But
scientists say that can be measured. That they can measure where the curvature is happening and where you can actually see it and notice it. I mean, where it's noticeable. Right. It takes
well, yes. If the Earth was a ball that size, these are their measurements, not our measurements. Their measurements. The curve calculator says that at 100 miles, there's 6,000 feet of curvature. Right. This is a rig 9.4 miles away. The camera is 1 foot off the ground. At 1 foot, the horizon is 1.22 miles away. Let's round it up, 2 miles away. We should not be able to see the surface of the water beyond 2 miles, less than that, right? But we can see the surface of the water for miles beyond the rig here. There should be, at the rig, there should be 59 feet of missing rig behind us, but we can still see the water surface beyond there. The globe argument is the water in the distance is ramping up to eye height. The water closer is ramping up a little less. The water closer is ramping up a little less. The water in front of it is ramping up a little less, and it all lines up flat. Or perhaps maybe the world is just flat, okay? The excuses the globers have to come up with are so convoluted, and our answer is because it's flat, okay?
Yeah, but then explain
So
sunsets. You can see the sun going down, and you can see, well, the moon coming up. And sometimes when the moon is rising, it's like huge and in your face. I mean, it's gigantic. And then when it's up there, when it's the highest up it gets, I suppose, it's actually much smaller, or it appears that way. But also when the sun sets and up and down, I mean, you can see it on the globe.
Hold on. Let's table that. This one more. Let me show you one more thing about perspective, and then we'll jump right into that because that's one of my favorite topics. Right. So we don't see a boat out here, and what we're doing is we're zooming in, and as we zoom in, we're increasing the angular size, and as we increase the angular size, all of a sudden our eye goes, "Oh, look, there is a boat there." Okay. Now a glober would say that boat was over the curve, but how did I just zoom it in? So let's watch again. We're going to zoom out. And these little waves in the foreground are going to hide that boat from the bottom up, just like my finger is. Mm-hmm. Okay?
But then what's behind the boat? There should be
There's
millions of boats, but you can't see them because they're further away and over the curve.
Well, the other problem is, no, that's not true at all. We can see way, way farther. So let's take a little farther. The problem is, if all the lights were off in my room right now, you couldn't see me. You can only see the light that's bouncing off of me. And the atmosphere, the atmosphere blocks light, and light can only push so far. So here is a Mount San Jacinto from Malibu, 123 miles away. You should only be able to see the very, very, very tip of this mountain. And on a clear, beautiful, clear day, you can't see this mountain, but this is an infrared shot that cuts through the haze, and we can see the entire mountain. Okay,
and you say this is from Malibu, huh?
Yeah,
but it's always covered in smog in Los Angeles, usually.
Right. Well, that again, smog, rain, all sorts of stuff. Here's one. Here's one. This is from Aluja, France. There's a viewing spot out over the ocean. And out here is Mount Canigou, and you can't see it. It's 175 miles away. According to Globe Math, from this viewing spot, the very top, the highest point of Mount Canigou should be over half a mile below the curvature. Hey, guess what? You can't see it. The sunlight that's bouncing off of Mount Canigou isn't strong enough to send an image all the way back to your eyes. However, the sun is the brightest light in the sky. It can push through 175 miles, right? And so when we go a little forward, the sun moves away. This only happens twice a year when the sun lines up. It backlights the mountain, and right here, the top of this mountain should be over half a mile below the curve. But it's right there, and it's not a mirage. Again, the globers will say, the sun and the mountain are below the curve, but they're refracting up, and you're seeing mirages of a sun and a mountain. Not true. Or the earth is flat,
but
and it's right there in front of you.
Okay, but the sun is so powerful. It lights up, your whole day. That's daylight. So if the earth is flat, why is not the whole, why is it not a day? Why is it not day every day?
Day all the time.
Day all the time. And never a night, never nighttime. And what about the sun going down? How do you explain it?
Okay, can we start with the sun going down first? Mm-hmm. Okay, so this line here represents the path of the sun above the flat earth countertop, okay? And I'm moving the sun along, and we're viewing it from a celestial point of view, a elevated point of view. And we can see that this line is straight and level. I show it in the video, perfectly level. These could be buildings, mountains, cloud deck, whatever, but the sun is above it and going straight. Now I have a camera on the other side, on the table, on the flat counter, looking up. And if I showed you this first, I'd say, is this line level? And you'd be like, no, it's kind of going down. I'm like, is this sun going below this eye level horizon line, which is actually above? And you'd be like, well, yes, it is. And now I zoom in, look at the angle of this. This is a level line.
But it is actually
right?
a straight line you've done there.
It is straight and level. And so let's compare it to an actual sunset. So the sun was going here. It's going down, down, down. And look, what's it going behind here? This is what I call the atmospheric deck of opacity.
That's
it
clouds. It's going behind clouds there.
Well, the atmosphere, even on a clear day, over a certain distance becomes opaque. And I'm going to show you that 100%. So here is I filmed this a couple times. Freezing cold day, super clear, not over water. I'm on the East Coast in America. I'm watching the sunset. The sun was up here and it was going down, 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 down. And if the earth was spinning, it would just keep on going down, 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 down. But it didn't. It went down, 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 and then it stopped. And it sat here for 10 minutes. This is super sped up. Okay. The sun stopped. My friends were at the beach over here. They couldn't see the sun. They saw it set 10 minutes ago, and we just watch it disappear into the soup of the atmosphere. Watch again here. The sun is just going away, and its light, even the most powerful light in the world, can't push through the clear sky. I'm going back and forth here. The sun, and the only argument the Globers have is photoshopped, that this is photoshopped. Okay, it's been filmed numerous times on my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. If you go to the more resources pages, which is the web button, there's a whole playlist of videos showing this, showing the raw footage, showing everything, showing what happens when you use a solar filter. You know, the Globers will always say, put a solar filter on, right? Whenever there's an eclipse, the government's like, here, free glasses that will blind you from what's really going on in the sky. So I just answered your question on why the sun appears to go down and why it gets dark. Because the sun goes away, it takes its light with it. Right?
So it has to do with distance. You say the sun is going further and further away from where you are, point of view, and then it gets darker and darker. Is that what you're saying, basically?
That's what I'm saying. The sun moves across the sky. It sets due to perspective. It goes behind an apparent horizon, okay, because the sky and the ground meet and it just goes away. This sun is not, we're not falling over backwards. The sun is just moving away, right? But and 99.9% of the places that you watch the sun and people that watch the sunset, there's humidity, there's moisture in the air. However, there's certain places, this is an apparent horizon. It's just going beyond it. Here is a soldier in Afghanistan filmed this, super clear, super dry, and the sun.
Why is Paul McCartney there?
Because he's singing, the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning round. There's so much truth in music. Oh. It will blow your mind. Here's the sun going away. Okay, but we don't get to witness this from many places. It's just going away, and that's it.
But then it becomes night, and we have to face the night as always. And then there's a sunrise some hours later, and then it's back to daytime. So what happens to the sun during the night? Where does it go if it goes in that direction you were just showing us? When does it suddenly reappear?
So
from where?
The sun is a local light. Let me make this a little bigger for you. The sun is a local light, and it takes its light with it. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. On this right now, it's noon in Sydney, Australia. Now it's noon in Central Australia. Now it's noon in Western Australia. And so wherever the sun goes, it takes its light with it. This outer yellow line that the sun is almost on right now is December 21st, and it's called the Tropic of Capricorn. The inner yellow line is called the Tropic of Cancer, and it moves in there on June 21st, which is the height of our inner northern summer, right? Let me just speed this up. So the sun migrates in between those two lines every 6 months, 6 months in, 6 months out. So that's how seasons work. I'm going to explain that in a second. But I wanted to say something.
But let me just ask you, if I may, Dave,
go ahead.
Just for people to understand. So the flat plane is what we see there on your thing there. Yep. And it looks like a ball from above. It looks like a globe, but that means that the territory is flat. That's how you explain it, but it is spherical. It is a round flat form. That's what is depicted there?
Yeah, let me show you another way, because
I mean, it's not a square.
Right. It's not a square. We live in what I call the Antarctic Basin. Okay, the Antarctic Basin. What is that? So a pond, a puddle, a lake. What stops the water from flowing away? It's the land that surrounds them that's higher than the water, right? The edge of a pond is higher than the water that contains water. Large bodies of water at rest need containment. They lay flat and need containment. They need lateral pressure. So imagine our entire world as a giant pond, right? You have all the continents and islands. They're all surrounded by water, but all of that water is surrounded by land. Okay. The largest land, the highest land on Earth is Antarctica. They admit that. Okay.
And you talk about the ice wall surrounding it, and behind the ice wall, we get into really fascinating territory here. You say there are, and you and a lot of other people who talk about flat Earth say that there are many continents. I think maybe 14 in total. They talk about continents. I mean, together with the continents that we know. And then on the other side of this ice wall, there are a huge territory filled with unknown continents, and then we get into that. That's probably speculation. There is no proof of any of that, but it's certainly a fascinating topic and very adventurous that I also want to get into, because that could explain what extraterrestrial beings and everything, you know, what we call aliens, what that whole thing is all about.
Yeah. So let's get into that. But so all of the water is surrounded by land. And so what's out here? And again, you're naming the number of continents, the more continents. Here's the thing. Anything beyond this purple line, which is 60 degrees south, is off limits. Okay. It's off limits to independent exploration. So anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica, we are speculating. Now, you say there's no proof. There's a lot of stories. There's a book called the Iron Republic, and it was about a congressman, a politician in New York that got fed up in the 1800s, sold everything, bought a ship, went to Antarctica, and found an opening, and ended up on the other side and found an advanced civilization over there. He wrote all about it.
But are you talking about Admiral Byrd here?
No. I'm talking about. It's called the Iron Republic, and you can find it on YouTube if you just search the Iron Republic, read by the Morgile. That's the channel. He read the whole book for you. So if you like audiobooks while you're commuting or whatever, listen to it, and it'll blow your mind. So whether it's true or not, it rings true to me.
So several people have had that experience. Also, Admiral Byrd, who said that he went down to an opening in the North Pole, though, and went into an inner Earth civilization. That the Earth is hollow, and that he saw all of these fascinating beings on a beautiful world, and unlimited energy and resources and everything.
I have my opinions on that. May or may not be true. I think that part of his story was concocted to trap us into still believing we live on a sphere, but a hollow sphere. Okay.
But let's assume, though, Dave, that your theory is right about flat Earth, the ice wall, and what is behind it. What if Admiral Byrd flew into whatever is a hole in that huge ice wall, ended up on the other side in those other continents, and had those same experiences? I mean, that could very well be that. And then when he went back to the government saying, I had all these experiences, and they said, no, well, you have to say it's inner Earth. I mean, inside. It could. And then he died. Well, I mean, that could be explained that way, certainly. But it could also be that his truth, or his way, his experiences were the truth about the inner Earth civilizations. That's also an option that we've talked about on this channel as well.
So here's the thing, and I go back and forth. Maybe he leaked information he wasn't supposed to do. Maybe they killed him. Maybe he agreed to be disappeared. We don't know, because that was a while ago. He's an admiral. He was a Freemason. Lots of red flags. So
maybe he moved to one of those continents, Dave.
Well, that actually, there's a book about that, and it talks about that he might be there. We're going to get there in a second.
Maybe he's there right now with Jeffrey Epstein.
Maybe, and Michael Jackson.
And everybody else, yeah.
So check this out. Let's say we cut this out. Right between the green and the white, we cut it out, and we now have our disc. We take that disc, we wrap it around a sphere. Okay, this is the heliocentric matrix. It's a prison for your mind. It locks you into believing that you live on this ball, and that's the end of the world, right? There are no pictures of Antarctica from space, right? No pictures of Antarctica from space. Antarctica is one of those places that will, if they allowed us to go there and explore, it would prove whether the Earth is flat or not. Funny, that and the North Pole are both off limits. So check this out. Anyone could do this. Go to your browser, not to the program, but to the browser, googleearth.com, right? And take out the measuring tool and start measuring continents. We measure, bam, there's a square footage or the square mileage of America. Let's try something in the south. We'll go to Australia and we'll draw some points around Australia, and we'll get the approximate, according to Google, again, the deceivers. This is Antarctica, Australia, and now let's try Antarctica. Watch what happens here. When we go all the way around, hey, it's going to tell us how big Antarctica is, and bam, what happened? It won't let us. Look what happened. It goes, it's wrapping around here, right? So let's try maybe something south doesn't work. We'll try New Zealand, right? We'll go around there. Okay, that worked. Same thing happens up in the North Pole. Okay, why are the two places that we're not allowed to go? We're not even allowed to measure them on Google Earth.
Well, because
What's
they're
the
military territories.
Well, so we can't measure them. We can't find out the square mileage.
Yeah,
I mean, you
that's
can make up
interesting,
excuses
isn't it? It's very thought-provoking.
I'll take an interesting and thought-provoking. Thank you. But so now,
but many people,
I
I know people personally who's been to the North Pole and also to the South Pole, even also researchers into this field of truth research, and also people who not necessarily believe in the flat Earth theory that also went to the South Pole. And also I've spoken to scientists here who've been to the North Pole, but I don't know how far they actually got, because when I think it's only in the beginning of that whole area there that you can actually go to, right?
Right. So here are all of the bases at the South Pole Station, Amazon Base Station. These are all the places.
Is that
So
the
if you
South
went-
Pole we are seeing here from the south?
Well, this is not this is the North Pole here.
Okay, yeah.
And there is no South Pole. This is the land that surrounds our pond. This red line or the white line is the edge of our pond.
So
And
so
this
so
is
so
Antarctica.
the red line or the white beyond that is the ice wall, is Antarctica, right? Or what?
Right.
The
so
whole
what I
thing
showed
around.
you in Antarctica is all of this white area wrapped around a ball.
Right.
Right. So nobody from this base goes to meet anybody from this base on the bottom at the center. Never happens. Never will happen, because they're way, way, way too far apart. But here's something I need to show you. Okay. So, here's just another depiction. Here's Edmondson Station, right? It's like out here, right? So if somebody went here and they said, hey, you're at the South Pole, how would they know? How would they know? Look how big America is. Look how big, you can't even see Denmark, right? They're here.
Well, we're the
don't know where
smallest
they are.
country in the world, or one of them anyway.
Yeah, but they don't know where they are. All right. So let me show you something that happened recently. Okay. So this is a map that was found in a Buddhist temple, and it was published in 1910 in a Hawaiian magazine, showing all of these other continents out here. Fascinating.
And they're actually, this is a very fascinating map, but I mean, this could also just be made, and all of these territories or continents, they all kind of look the same, or I don't know, why is one more than the other? I mean, who has measured that? How do they know that this is the truth? Who has seen all of that?
It's worse. You're right. Listen, I'm with you. We don't have any proof, but my point is, when you take a trip to Antarctica, which all of the companies, 100 different companies that you can book with, they're all run by the Antarctic Commission. They're all under one company. There's 100 shell companies, all run by the same people, right? So it's totally controlled. But if we took you from Santiago to the center of this continent here, this is bigger than the United States, Canada, and Mexico combined. It's twice the size. Okay.
Right.
And they took you here and said, hey, this is Antarctica. Right. And then they took you a little bit inland and they go, this is the South Pole. How would you know? You wouldn't know.
So
wouldn't
can
know.
I
But
just
here's
ask,
something-
do you think that continents that we know of from myths, but that we in this truth community, have come to believe is absolute factual, and it's been there, like Atlantis and Lemuria, do you think that they were there in the center of all of that where we are now? Or do you think they could be one of those continents out there?
You're asking exactly what I want to show you next. So give me, 1 minute.
No, we
I'll
can
be right
spend
there.
a long time on that. I find it totally fascinating.
All right. So what if the world was set up like this? What if this isn't always frozen? Okay. So this is interesting. When you can go online, and they've corrected this since we found this. You can go on to shipping. It shows you where all of the cargo ships in the world are. You click on one of these dots. It'll show you, hey, this is this ship, captain's name, registered here, size of the ship, where it's going, everything, all the information on the ship. Well, we found some ships that were way deep inside Antarctica, hundreds and hundreds of miles inside Antarctica. Like, how are they there? Isn't it land or frozen? Right? And there was a line of ships going out this way. Okay. Like, or in however you look at it. We look at it as out. You would look at it as in, if you're a globe person. Right. So we click on this one, very little information, very, very little information. So we're like, what's going on here? And it said the ship was 580 meters long, 80 meters wide. That is a gigantic ship, 580 meters. That's almost 2,000 feet. Okay. That is a monster ship. And when we clicked on it, we said, where is this ship registered? And it was registered to an island called Kiribati. Ever hear of Kiribati?
Is that
Here's
the
where
one
Kiribati
in the middle of the Pacific Ocean?
In the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I got a pin on it because you can't even see it. We zoom in, right? This is a little sandbar, okay? There's sand people that live here, okay?
Like in
Right?
Star
And-
Wars.
Well, glad you pointed that out. Hold on to that thought, okay? So I'm going to bring Star Wars right here to Flat
Oh,
Earth.
look, there's a
right?
place called London and Poland and Paris there.
Yeah. And so interesting, the United States government, the Chinese government heavily involved in this country, right, in this island. And they say it's a key shipping point. And they say that China gave it $10 billion recently. This little sandbar, $10 billion.
How big is that
What-
island? Do you know?
It's tiny. It's tiny. You go on Google Earth, Google it, and you won't even see it until you're really close, and it just shows up. It's a tiny little atoll, right?
But could you walk the island, or around the island?
I think it's I don't know, 20. I don't know. I'm guessing somewhere between 15 and 50 miles wide. Okay, somewhere in there. That's my guess. You know what? I'll measure it for you.
Doesn't matter.
But
It's just
here's
if
my
you knew.
question. Here's my question. What if there are other advanced worlds out here, continents? And what if there was a shipping lane there? They're trading technology, trading food, trading human trafficking, whatever, right? If there was these trade routes going on, how would you ever know?
Well,
You would never know.
You wouldn't know. No.
You would never know, right? And so, we have all of a sudden, we have computer chips, we have all of this stuff. Where is this stuff coming from?
But
Maybe it's
we
coming from
also we already know that they have a huge underground network in the world that we know, on the earth that we know, that they can go underneath the ground from one side to the earth. From one side to the other, and maybe they can. If that was real with all of these extraterrestrial, extra continents there, then maybe they could go underneath whatever is the ground that you believe is the flat plane going out there.
I agree. Mm-hmm. So let's look at this. What if? What is going on here? I got a little internet. It's a little slow down. I'll do it another way. What if the world was set up like this? So here's our pond. Okay, this ring here is Antarctica. Okay, this ring is Antarctica, and out here, look, the shipping lane. Right out here, extra territory, extraterrestrials. This maybe is where the Iron Republic is, right? Advanced civilization that left here in the 1600s because of tyranny. The people that started that city, that civilization, said that they were tired of the tyranny that was going on in here in the 1600s. so they left.
Still
Right?
going on. Still happening.
Well, it's happening. I imagine that tyranny going on, right? But so now they have the whole world thinking they're on a ball, and no one's even thinking about going out here. Let's spread this out even farther, okay? What if our pond actually has 3 rings, right? There's more out there. But here's the one that I really want you to see is, I wish I can bring it up. My app won't load, of course.
No, but I see that image perfectly, though.
Yeah. All right. But here's the thing. So now that image is right here. What if we live in this pond? And what if there were other ponds that were just tens of thousands of miles away? You know, and maybe from here to here is 80,000 miles, whatever.
Oh, wow. But so everything here is still on a flat plane, you say? That is
scientifically possible flat plane, an enclosed plane. So think about this. What do you call, so each one of these ponds is taking up a piece of the plane. Agreed? A portion of the plane, a piece of the plane. What is another word for a piece of the plane? A planet. A planet.
People also say that a planet is plan ET.
Plane-T, right? Planet. Plane, the word plane.
But also
they just added a T
plan
on.
ET. It's just another, some people say that, like it's a plan from made by the extraterrestrials, whoever they are, but we'll get into that as well.
And extraterrestrials are coming, if they're coming from anywhere, they're coming from the extraterra across our plane. So imagine each one of these, a different planet, all right? And you have different worlds, Lemuria, the Anunnaki come from one, you have all of them, all of these other worlds here. And some of them are hostile, some of them are friendly, some of them, you have the Galactic Federation. This is the federation of all of these planets here on Earth.
So
right?
you're saying that everything is the Earth, what we see in this whole thing.
Everything.
And it's
all
gigantic, it's huge, and there are many worlds. And everything that we've come to understand as alien, extraterrestrials, and reptilians, and the Nordics, and insectoids, and what have you. They're all part of this Terra, Earth plane that is just gigantic beyond belief, so that the universe is actually, let's say, inside of that whole plane. And then why do you think it's not outside of a globe in another, other planets and other universes and all of that?
Let's talk about that. And I bring this up in every interview, and I think I need to bring it up in every interview because people don't understand.
You need to bring it up, obviously, because the audience will have that kind of a question. However, I do want to go back to that talk there because I do find all of that very interesting. If for nothing else, for entertainment reasons, because it is quite fascinating, but it's also very thought-provoking, and that's what a show like this is all about, right?
There's a book called The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall that talks about all of this. And one of the things that they bring in, it's literally the story of Star Wars. It's about people traveling from planet to planet across the plane. There's hostile lands, there's friendly lands. And they talk about the power that everyone has. They call it the source. Everyone is connected to the source. Sounds like the Force to me, right? Sounds like the same thing. The story of Star Wars is here on Flat Earth.
But can I just ask you, because the audience would want to know this. So the planets, those round circular areas.
Yep.
And there are many of them on that model you showed, on that image.
Yeah.
So what is around that? Is that oceans? And then you enter that field that looks like a globe, just from a perspective above. When you look down on that flat plane, how do you enter?
I don't know. I haven't been out there, but one way is maybe there's waterways. Maybe it's all frozen. Maybe there's tunnel systems that connect them. Okay. Maybe there's civilizations that have aircraft that can pull energy out of the ether and travel these great distances. Just, The secret space program, I think it's the secret propulsion program. They don't want us to understand that they have ships that can pull energy right out of the air and don't need to carry tons and tons of fuel that's pulled out of the ground. Right?
Do you think that this is what Hitler and the Nazis discovered in the 30s and of course in the 40s, and they went to Antarctica and the South Pole, as we very well know, and supposedly they created bases there. But was that actually the real discovery you think that they made there, that there is a world beyond what we're told?
There's many world leaders that go to Antarctica, they go to South Pole Station, and then they disappear for 3 days, and then they show back up at South Pole Station and they leave. I think that they're going to these outer worlds, maybe within our pond or maybe in another pond, and they're getting their marching orders from the beings that are really ruling this place, that are ruling the people that we call the rulers.
But don't you think that the technology is so advanced now, and we know that the military has technology, secret military technology that's supposedly several hundred years ahead of what we are being told. So don't you think they're able to teleport from one territory to another without having to actually travel there physically?
Well, that is a possibility. That they have ways to travel in between them. But I think the whole idea of teleporting and folding space is a way to explain heliocentric space, how you make up these incredible distances when in reality they're just a few thousand miles away rather than light years away.
Yeah,
so
but then
can we talk about that?
Yeah, but then maybe they could still teleport from Paris to London. It's not very far. Just instead of not spending time going from one place to the other. I mean, space is still around us, whether you believe it's a spinning globe or a flat Earth. I mean, the air you can breathe outside. That's the world that surrounds us, and the elements, the ether.
These are fun things to think about, and I haven't seen it yet. I don't doubt that they could exist, but I'm not going to claim that they do exist. But I am going to claim that we can travel the distances between these outer lands in a reasonable amount of time. Let's talk about heliocentric space for 2 minutes, if you don't mind. In our heliocentric world, the globe model, the closest star is 4.5 light years away. That's the closest one. Okay, 4.5 light years is 25 trillion miles.
Is that Alpha Centauri, or what's it called?
It might be Alpha Centauri, but whatever that star is, it's 25 trillion miles away. That's the closest one. The other ones are magnitudes farther, magnitudes. But let's just look at the closest one. So I'm going to put you on a spaceship in a heliocentric world, and you're going to travel a mile per second, and you're going to travel for 1 trillion seconds. You've gone 1 trillion miles. Mile per second. No one's ever gone that fast. You traveled for 1 trillion seconds. You've now gone 1 trillion miles. Simple math. Got it? Okay. You are now 1/25th of the way to the closest star. You got to do that 24 more times.
Yeah,
right?
but nobody's doing that.
I'm showing you how far that is. Do you know how long 1 trillion seconds is? You've gone 1 trillion mile per second. You've been traveling for 1 trillion seconds. Do you know how long that is in time?
Millions of years, maybe.
It's 31,000 years, okay? Millions of years is the closest guess anyone's ever gotten.
All right.
31,000 years. So these distances are scientifically impossible. First, the other thing is...
That's why they use teleportation, these aliens, they say. I've spoken to many UFO researchers about that. They can bend time and space. It's nothing for them, supposedly, of course. And that's why they can even travel from one star system to the other. And,
or one pond to the other, and it's a lot closer than they're telling us.
Well, that was just what I was saying before. Maybe they also do that. They don't have to, take an airplane or a ship to Antarctica and through the ice wall and all that. Maybe you can just go into a teleportation Stargate kind of thing.
I guess leaders of the world that go to Antarctica are not allowed to use that technology, which is why they take conventional airplanes.
They're probably not pretty low level.
So my point is, heliocentric space, traveling impossible light years to a scientifically impossible space vacuum, or traveling inside a pressurized level plane where everybody's standing upright, up is up, down is down for everybody. People aren't standing antipodal to each other on opposite sides of the world.
Yeah,
To
but
me,
time
that
only
makes-
exists in our on this three-dimensional plane, right? In the three dimensions, time, we have time, and then after the fourth, it kind of dissolves, and then when you go to another, let's say, dimension, time does not exist. So if you, it's only, that's a matter of physicality. And if you have to travel all of those distances you talk about, it wouldn't be possible. So to bend time and space, teleportation or power of thought, really advanced technology or physical abilities that are interdimensional, really, probably also what we had in the past, building the pyramids through power of thought and all of that, what we also talked about, is possible. We've been totally dumbed down, and we almost know practically nothing these days. I mean, the population, all information being kept from us. But I mean, if we assume that the impossible is possible, then all of that, the distances and all of that, is not a problem.
Well, the distances are not impossible if you can prove teleportation. So let's just assume that's true.
Many people have talked about that. Even Nikola Tesla talked about these things, and also we know teleportation is true. Even at the Niels Bohr Institute, the atomic scientist, they actually said officially that they teleported one particle from one room to the other. I mean, and if they can do that, they can. I mean, it's not about time then. It's not about distances. I mean, of course, they probably lie. They did much more than that. But, teleportation should be nothing when you talk about flat Earth and territories and all of that. Why is that not possible?
Well, we're talking about, what we can scientifically prove and what we can speculate on. No one has ever been able to show high pressure next to low pressure without a container.
Yeah, but
right?
all information being kept from us. Certainly also if the flat Earth theory is right. And people can still, all of these scientists are also proving the globe theory. I mean, why should all governments in the world, all world leaders, all scientists simultaneously lie about the globe model? I mean, that's like a really major psyop, and people that doesn't even know each other throughout time and all of that. Why would all of them be able to cover that up? Wouldn't somebody actually discover, oh, wow, we are in a flat plane. The whole globe thing that I thought was real is actually a lie. I mean, could the whole world be... not everybody is lying, right? They believe this is true.
Have you heard about the two astronauts that admitted that we've never been to space and that the Earth is flat?
I'm not sure about whether they said the Earth is flat. That I haven't heard, but I do know astronauts that said that it was actually impossible to go to the moon, and some of them were actually supposedly there, and the whole moon thing is also very, very
let's
suspicious.
Bring it back to what's going on here now. Let's talk about NASA for a little bit, and let's look
never
at a few
a straight
of NASA's
answer.
lives. Never a straight answer. Not a space agency, right? So this is a picture of the space shuttle the space station from the space shuttle, right? And hold on, what is going on here? Is this hold on a second. Where is it? So does that look real to you? I mean, we're looking at this is the space shuttle, right? It's literally a model, but that's actually not the one I wanted to show you. Right? Then they show you this, right? They always have a little selfie, we're looking down on the Earth, right? That's kind of weird, right?
Well, we do know, or at least a lot of us in this field do know, that the whole NASA narrative is very suspicious, and they're creating fake films and images and hanging from wires and stuff like that. That's not even
right.
That's not even just whether you are a flat earther or not, that you can tell that a lot of that is full of deception. But I mean, from your point of view, of course, we want to hear how you see it.
Well, there's so many so many things just from the moon landing. Like, have you ever taken a close look at the rover? I mean, this is an umbrella, curtain rods, lawn chairs, right? These are supposedly metal tires. Okay. This is a Jeep chassis, right?
Stanley Kubrick did an okay job, but not a perfect job, huh?
Yeah, well, I don't know who filmed it, but it was probably him. And then this is the Russian rover. I don't know, it's not showing right for some reason. Let me just make that a little smaller.
Is that Yuri Gagarin?
Yeah. When we look at the, here we go. So this is literally the Russians' rover on the moon. And this is the guy controlling it. They want us to believe that
it
this
doesn't
is
look
real.
like very sophisticated technology, does it?
Well, yeah, this was a while ago. I mean, absolute.
Yeah, but a while ago, what are you talking about? I mean, a while ago, if they can go to the moon, they should have really sophisticated technology, shouldn't they?
100%, absolutely.
This is not even a model you would find in Star Wars that was even done in the 70s. They even had better things there, didn't they?
Absolutely, absolutely, right. And you remember this? One of the first spacewalks. I mean,
was that the guy that jumped out from that space station, or was it?
He's in a jetpack, right?
Oh.
So you have to remember the Earth is corkscrewing through space at 500,000 miles per hour, moving 66,000 miles an hour. How does he ever catch up? None of it makes any sense. The space station falling around the Earth, it's insanity.
It's quite daring, one would certainly say, huh? If you already have a problem jumping from a little bridge in a swimming pool.
Right, and now they use these green screens and layering, and they're not even in the same room. All of a sudden, this woman changed colors. All the colors reversed, which shows that they're using layering.
Maybe she's a blue alien.
Maybe she's a blue alien, right? And here we got Kamala Harris talking on the space station, and this guy, when he's talking, he's flipping his wires around the whole time, and always showing, oh, that's so cool, and everyone's just focused on the wires. But if you zoom in on these wires, you'll see that they go right through his hand. Right, watch where his watch is. The wire goes right through his hand, right? Because it's not really there. Went right through his wrist.
But couldn't that just be a bad resolution, the picture? I mean, sometimes things do change and eyes change and everybody thinks, oh, they're reptilian. I mean, a lot is happening when you see a picture filmed badly and, not everything is CGI, is it? Or maybe it is.
What about this? They're looking out at the space station. Did you see that?
No.
It went inside the window frame.
Oh,
Look.
yeah. That's not very good, is it?
No, that's not very. I'll take a not very good. I'll take a not very good, right? And then this woman here is, she's not even looking out here as she's closing this hatch. She's looking at a monitor over here, right? And she.
Oh,
and
wow.
Wow,
look, she has higher hair
really
than me.
watch. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something I want to point out. Why would they allow a woman to have long hair? She has the shortest hair of anyone. Women have all long hair. They would never allow long hair on the space station. It's disgusting. But when we actually look at her, it gets worse. Look at her makeup. It's perfect. It's heavy duty makeup. How do you put makeup on in space? Okay.
Well,
none of this would be allowed. No makeup, no long hair.
I mean, you could put makeup on, couldn't you? I mean, that wouldn't be too strange.
Well, the powder would be going all over the place, right? And other times when they're hanging from wires and they at the end of their interview, they do a little trick. Sometimes they get tangled in their wires. So these guys are going, let me just jump forward a little bit here. And all of a sudden he gets tangled in his wires. Okay. And they're panicking. The guy in the red will go over and eventually hit a reset button. This guy doesn't know what to do. This guy gets out of the scene real quick. He's tangled in his wires. And if you watch, let me jump forward a little bit. On his shirt, you can see a wire pulling his shirt out. Okay. All right. I'll do a quick zoom in on that. Give me a second here. And they're stuck upside down. Watch. Boom. Ready. And that happened right when the other guy pulled the switch. You could hear him.
Yeah, but it looks like a hand.
Well,
somebody behind him.
It's something moving out. This guy's hitting the switch. You hear click, and the wire moves, and moves his shirt. Okay.
It looks like
you
a
can only-
hand, though. They could be pulling from the other side, one of the other guys.
Well, you don't see a hand there, right?
It looks
So-
like a hand.
They do all of their spacewalks training in a pool,
Mhm.
right? And there's green screens in this pool, right? There was actually physical green screens in the pool, but they were doing a documentary on it. And while they were showing it, they accidentally showed a screen with a green screen. Why do they have a green screen when they're filming astronauts in there? And their answer is to make it more realistic for the astronauts. Well, that's not how green screens work,
No,
right?
no.
That's not how green screens work.
It's not to
And
make it
here-
more realistic because they won't see it or feel it around them,
Yeah. Yep.
I guess.
So, yeah. So here, let me just show you. Just jump to this one. This is, after a spacewalk. Look at this door. What is this door made out of? Is it a tortilla? I'm in Mexico. That's why I'm thinking tortilla.
Oh,
Okay.
makes me hungry.
Yeah. So how is that going to do it?
Yeah, how
Where's
is
the
that
door?
going to separate
Secret
him
thing.
from space, huh?
Yeah.
I
How
mean,
is
it's
that
not
gonna
going to
happen?
hold up for very long.
Right. Right. Why is there fruit on this table? Why is there fruit sitting on a table in zero gravity? Okay. Right. Here's Don Pettit showing how he made a cup. He's tired of drinking out of a bag. So he made a cup and he's got coffee in there and he's drinking the coffee and coffee's not real. Watch the coffee become out of a sink. Ready? Bam. Out of sink.
Oh.
Okay. How does the coffee become out of sync with the bag? All right. Then we
And
have
these are obviously real images that you took and nobody has
from
tampered.
NASA.
From NASA,
From
and
NASA.
nobody has tampered with these pictures, huh?
Correct. Chris Hatfield loves singing. And so he's singing. The other guys hold the microphone. The other guy's actually in a different room and misplaces where Chris's neck is and sticks the microphone inside of his neck.
Oh.
The microphone is inside of Chris Hatfield's neck. He never misses a beat on the song. Okay. And it's because they're in different rooms. Right.
So I mean,
And then-
we can very easily and have for a long time certainly, well, agree on the fact that NASA is not telling us the truth, and there's a reason for that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that. Yeah, I see that. That doesn't necessarily mean that the Earth is flat, huh? I mean, how do you explain gravity and gravity's pull? I mean, so that I don't float off from the ground here, and you as well.
Okay, so you know that gravity is just a theory, right? It's a theory that they came up with, and then they said, well, you know what? It doesn't work unless 96% of it is dark matter and dark energy, which no one's ever seen and no one's ever measured, but it has to be, or gravity doesn't work. So when you have a theory and you need to make up something fictitious to fill in 96% of it, you throw the theory out, but nope. They say it has to be because gravity needs it, because without gravity, they don't have their ball, right? So gravity is just a theory, and the electrostatic charge
But
is not a theory.
that's what you postulate, huh? It's not. I mean, you say gravity. I mean, that can be measured. That is an actual fact, right?
No, correct. So gravity is a theory, and they made it up, and they ignore the true force, which is the electrostatic force.
But
So
if
the
I
sun and
took
the moon-
one of those pieces of fruit, or going to a supermarket, buying some fruits, or actually harvesting them myself from a tree in Mexico, let's say, and I want to eat it, but it falls from I drop it and drops to the ground. That's gravity.
No. So
No?
that is something that is buoyancy and density, right? So if I dropped a handful if I had a helium balloon, rocks, and ping pong balls in my hand, I held them over a pool and I let them go. The balloon's going to go up. The rocks and the ping pong balls are going to go down. The ping pong balls will sit on top of the water and the rocks will go to the bottom.
Yeah, but
That's
if you put
buoyancy.
helium in a balloon, that's known to everybody. Then it will go fly in the air.
It goes up. It
Yeah.
defies gravity, even though it has weight. Okay.
But that's what
So the sun
helium
and the moon-
does, huh? That's what helium does.
So helium goes up. You know that they tell us that Jupiter is has more gravity than all of the other planets combined. Okay, that's what NASA tells us, right? And they also tell us Jupiter is made up of 99% helium and hydrogen. And here on Earth, helium and hydrogen defy gravity. So how much helium and hydrogen do you need to create more gravity than the rest of the planets, right? They want to confuse your mind because that is absolutely ridiculously and confusing. So gravity is a made-up theory that we can't test or prove, and the electrostatic force is a proven theory. Okay, so let me show you. And what do I mean by that? The ground has a negative or neutral charge. Okay, and the ground is not moving. Right, and everything in the air is surrounded by a positive charge. So positive and negatives attract. Ground's not moving. So the positive and negative say, hey, down is this way. Okay, and then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. And they tell us, science tells us that the electrostatic charge is 10 to the 36, I think, 36 to the 39, doesn't really matter, power stronger than the weak gravitational force. So if gravity was real, let's pretend, and we know the electrostatic force is real, and it's 10 to the 39th power stronger, then how can you assume that it's gravity that's making something go down and not the electrostatic force? Let me show you an example. Here we have some leftover party helium balloons. We tied them. There's a little button on here, and it's neutrally floating just above the floor a little bit. Okay. This wire goes to a Van der Graaf generator, and we're going to crank up. We're going to add a positive charge, make it a stronger positive charge, and it goes down just by adding a positive charge to it. And then we discharge it, and it goes back up. So what do we do? Do we make it heavier, or do we change the charge? Now, if you look at the periodic table of elements, every atom that's heavier than the next one has a stronger positive charge. You with me? So lead has a stronger positive charge than oxygen, right? That's why lead is heavier than oxygen, right? Or whatever elements you want, okay? And so that goes along perfectly with the electrostatic theory, right? So that makes things go down. What about making things go up? Here we have this tinfoil triangle. We add a negative charge to it. What happens to it? It goes up because we're keeping a negative charge into it. Is it defying gravity, or is it defying electrostatics?
But there are wires in it.
Well, the wires are just keeping a negative charge, because if we didn't have the wires, it would be in the air. It would get a positive charge and would come right back down. Okay, so here's something without wires. This is by MIT. They created, it's called the silent drone, right? It has no moving parts. It is silent, and all they're doing is changing the electrostatic charge of this, and it flies. Now, is it defying electrostatics, which is 10 to the 39th power stronger than the alleged force of gravity, or is it defying gravity?
Well, somebody like me would never know if there's a machine in it, or it can fly like a drone or something. I wouldn't personally know that, but I mean, it's certainly fascinating.
Well, you can go see these things. They're at shows and stuff. So this is proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's defying the electrostatic force. Here's a guy in Russia that he created something, and he does the same thing. He puts a negative charge into it, and it floats. It floats, right? And so is it defying gravity, the made-up theory of gravity, which is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction less powerful than the proven electrostatic force? Anybody that can see this, understand what I'm saying, and still throw out the word gravity is just been indoctrinated so much that they're not able to think critically, right? So, take your time. Here's my thing. In my app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, there is a button called the Frequently Asked Questions button. I hit that button, up come the Frequently Asked Questions, and there's the gravity button, okay? If you click that, it's going to take you to all of the videos that YouTube doesn't want you to see, explaining the stuff that I'm talking about way better than I am right now, right? All of these videos are hidden on YouTube. They won't let you find them unless you literally type in the channel name and the exact video.
Yeah, we know all about shadow banning here.
What's that?
We know all about shadow banning, censoring, censorship, and ghosting,
Yes.
and all of that. It's absolutely a terrible time, and freedom of speech is no longer real here. I mean, on planet Earth. So, Dave, are you still on gravity now?
Well, the last thing I want to say is, so here is a balloon. This is a balloon, and I'm holding it, and it's hanging down because it's heavier than the air, right? And I say the electrostatic force is pushing it. Globers say that gravity holds the air down to Earth. Gravity pulls the air down, and space can't suck it away because gravity is holding it down.
But all of that is scientifically proven.
No, it's not. All right? It's not. It's the electrostatic force. And the other thing is, you look at clouds. Clouds weigh trillions of pounds. And the Globers will say, well, water molecules, they're individual molecules that are so light that they float. A water molecule is heavier than an air molecule. Gravity can hold the air down, but it can't pull the trillions of tons of water out of the clouds. Doesn't make any sense. I'm going to prove it right here. So I fill this balloon with air. What is the air trying to do? It's trying to escape in every direction, including up. It's trying to escape in every direction, including up. Okay? Air fills the available space until it reaches equilibrium. Okay? We are in an enclosed system. Now, people will say, well, the air gets thinner and thinner as you get higher and higher. Yeah, that's true, but it's in a container. You get a container of any gas, propane. You know, got a half tank of propane, liquid at the bottom, thicker in just above the surface, and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner to the top. And that's because it's a natural gradient due to buoyancy and density, and it holds together. Make a hole in that container, and all of the gas will disappear.
And now you're talking about what flat earthers believe, that we are in an enclosed system underneath a dome, right? Some kind of a glass ceiling.
Well, that is, I don't know what it's made out of. You know, the Bible says it's molten glass. It could be energy, it could be water, it could just be air pressure. God separated the waters from the waters, if you want to follow the Bible. I think that space is liquid, and I don't think anyone's ever been there. And there's tons of videos if you go to What About.
But why the dome, though, Dave? Why the dome? Everybody talks about this. Why underneath the dome? You say that this is a flat territory, it's gigantic, and all these worlds and these round, smaller territories or domes on the flat plane, and then this giant dome. Why aren't we just floating in space, and then both things can be right, so to speak, that we can go to different solar systems and all of that?
Space is scientifically impossible. You can't have balls of gas floating in a vacuum. Gas fills the available space. We look at nebulas, they tell us that it's dust and gas condensing, collapsing into stars and creating stars. How do you have dust and gas in space?
So how do you explain all of the other planets? You can see them, and we can measure them. We can see them through telescopes, and some we can even film with a very, very good camera. Like we can film the moon and go really deep. I can even, with a good camera that I have, take pictures of the craters on the moon.
Oh yeah, I would take amazing pictures. And what those, why are they all perfectly circular? That's another question. This is what Mars really looks like when you zoom in on it with a super zoom lens. Okay, it's not a burning ball. It's not a dusty ball reflecting sunlight. And again, it's hard to go through the math to show you that these are scientifically impossible. You look up, all the planets are in our night sky now, and you look up at Mars and Jupiter, they're like as bright as the sun. Jupiter is literally as bright as the sun. It's just tiny. But you have to believe that, if you were as far away from the sun as Jupiter is, the sun is tiny. You have to believe that that tiny sun is lighting up the non-reflective surface of Jupiter, and it is reflecting all the way back the millions and millions of miles to Earth, and I can see it as bright as the sun. That makes no sense. The inverse square law of light says every time you double the distance of something, it's a quarter of the brightness. You could not see those. So this is... Well,
in the past, people believed that Saturn was actually the sun, and that's why they started with this Saturnian and Saturn worship Satanism, really, that's how it all ties in, I suppose. Cronus, the god, the prohibitor.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is what they talk about, but people are saying that it's a rock, it's a ball like Earth, right?
Not necessarily. I also think a lot of people say that it's gas forms, and I don't know if some of it is physical or not. And then there are the rings around Saturn. A lot of people have come out in this field and said that those rings are being used to control our frequency here on Earth, for frequency control, for mind control, for collective mind control. And that's in astrology. We know that Saturn is the prohibitor and the god that wants to the grim reaper in other words, death.
Lucas, you believe in astrology?
I think that's a very, very fascinating and very, very important topic, and apparently a lot of it is very, very real.
So I'm with you. So, when Mars is in retrograde, we have to be careful on what we do. There's issues, right? Whatever it is. Okay.
Well, you can read a horoscope.
I'm with you 100%. Now let's look at it in two models. Mars is millions and millions of miles away. It's a rock floating in space, falling around the sun. Or Mars is an energetic, living entity here within the Earth system that affects every move we make. That, to me, makes more sense. The Earth is alive. All of the lights in the sky are part of this living system, and we are part of this living system.
Within the dome, underneath the dome, Mars inside of the dome, Saturn, Jupiter, and all of these planets that we know are inside the dome. Is that what you're saying? Affecting us.
That's what I'm saying, but they're not rocks as you think they are.
What are they then, do you suspect?
Right. So when we look at them, I just showed you what Mars looks like. Here's Arcturus. Okay, what is that? Okay, here's Procyon. Right? You zoom in on these things; they're not what they tell you. Here's Venus. This is what Venus really looks like.
That looks really round and.
It's round, and even it's a sphere. Look at the lights in your ceiling. Do they dictate the shape of your floor? They have nothing to do with the shape of your floor.
Yeah, but nobody can really film anything very good from that distance, huh? We don't have the technology here.
Well, how come we're able to zoom in on these things and make them bigger if they're the distances that they say? A little zoom on a P1000 camera shouldn't be able to do any of that.
Well, that is true, though.
Right. So this is the picture that they gave us
of Saturn,
the famous picture of Saturn. But then we took it off their website, put it in Photoshop, cranked it up, and you can clearly see that it was sloppily made with cutting and pasting layers.
But then why do the elitists, the Satanists, why do they worship Saturn?
Because
use that symbolism. That symbolism is shown everywhere, practically everywhere, trying to hold us with that within that in that frequency control, mind control.
I'm with you. Okay, they're worshiping why are all of the planets, which used to be called wandering stars, named after gods? They're all named after gods. Okay, maybe they are gods in some way, and they are here in our living system, right? We are all, and astrology. I think astrology is the real science. It is the real secret, hidden knowledge from us. But we're not talking about rocks falling around a scientifically impossible burning ball of gas that we call the sun. We're talking about living entities here within a living system. Okay?
On the flat plane. But why couldn't, if Mars and all these other planets are underneath the dome, let's just take that. That's what we're talking about here
they're
with
not
you.
Planets, they're lights. They're lights.
But why couldn't they also be like a flat plane thing?
Why? Because they're not terra firma. There's no rocks floating in space.
And you know that because?
I don't know it, but all of the evidence that we see, and here's the thing, the only thing that we can say about any of the luminaries, sun, moon, stars, planets, is they're lights. That's all we can definitively say.
But not the moon, though, because you can see the craters. You can see everything there on the moon.
But
I mean, as close as you can get.
You know, when there's a new moon, you can't see it. No one has ever, when the moon
Yeah,
goes
but you
new,
can still see the shadow of the whole thing, the whole round thing.
You're incorrect. You're incorrect. When the moon
I've seen it with my eyes.
I'm going to tell you what you saw. Listen, when the moon is waning, you can see, and it's a crescent, you can still see the rest of the moon. But when the moon goes to to a completely new moon, it is gone. And the shortest amount of time that anyone has ever been able to photograph it with a telescope, with a camera from the space station, from wherever, is 2 days. 2 days. I think it's like 42 hours or something like that, right? No one has ever been able to see it at all. Well, you know, the globalists will say, well, that's because it's too close to the sun and you wouldn't be able to see it, right? Good story. But during an eclipse.
But it could make sense, though, couldn't it? I mean, why doesn't that make sense?
Well, because during an eclipse, when there's a complete eclipse of the sun, and you know, you just have the ring of fire, or even less, you know, the tiny ring of fire, no one sees the moon, right? When we watch an eclipse, here, well, look at this. Here's an eclipse. What do we notice? Well, we're told that's the moon, but the dark part looks like the rest of the sky, right? Again, the dark part looks like the rest of the sky. The dark part looks like the rest of the sky. The dark part, though, this is done with a filter, so it's black and you don't really get to see anything, because when you use a solar filter, you don't see anything. The dark part looks like the rest of the sky. It doesn't look like the moon. The dark part looks like the rest of the sky.
But that could be the reflection, how we see it, how we perceive what is light and colors and whatever.
What I'm showing you is we never see the moon approach, eclipse, or exit the face of the sun. Now, when we go and see from NASA, again, the dark part is just the missing sun. I think it's being eclipsed from the other side. I could show you how that happens, but that would take a few minutes, and you'd have to be wanting to hear it. The dark part is just missing, okay? And then NASA will show us a picture. In here, but notice that the dark part looks like the rest of the sky. It never looks like the moon, right?
What do you actually think the moon is then? I mean, do you think a lot of people have said that it's an artificial object, and some people even say reptilians brought it in here, drove it in here also for mind control and controlling our frequencies and the menstrual period and mood swings and the tide and all of those things that we know from the moon, but we only see one side. We never see the dark side of the moon, which is also interesting. If everything is spinning and all planets are spinning balls, let's just say, so the moon certainly is a very interesting object. What do you think? What is the moon, do you think?
I don't know, but I think it has to do with the delivery and removal of souls.
Right. So that when we die, the soul leaves the body and go to the moon as a kind of a reincarnational station, or what?
I think it's beyond what I'm able to understand, but I think there is a connection, and that's why it syncs up with women's reproductive cycles. Everything is a fractal of everything else. I believe that every point in our world is connected to every other point, and every point has all of the information of all of the world in it. And so once you understand that that's how this realm works, then you understand the power of your thoughts. Then you understand how limiting, how it makes us sick, shortens our lives, weakens us to believe we live on a globe flying through an infinite space vacuum. Absolute and total nonsense.
But we have certainly on this program also talked about the fact that it could be like a harvesting station, the moon, but maybe it's also used for other things. If there are aliens on the moon, they talk about also operating on the other side that you can't see, and maybe it is part of this reincarnation karma wheel factory death trap that we've also been talking a lot about on this show. I don't know if you are into that as well.
I don't believe that the moon is a physical object, so I don't believe that there's aliens on the moon. If you go out on a bright moon night where there's some, spaced out clouds, you'll see that the moon is lighting up only the clouds that are right near it. That's impossible if it's 250,000 miles away. The light that we call the moon that we see is very close, and it's lighting up the clouds that are right near it. I believe that we all see it.
You can even light up a mountain. I've been standing there suddenly when the moon appears,
Absolutely,
it's full.
but
you can light up a big area.
But no, it lights up everyone that can see the moon. It lights them up, but it lights up only the clouds that are near it. So to me, we're viewing that light we call the moon not too far from the clouds. But as we move, it moves. As we rise, it rises. So we go up in an airplane, it moves away because we're seeing it in what I call our personal atmospheric zone. Let me show you what
that has to do with distance, and we don't understand. We kind of perceive distances, right? Not really.
Let me show you. So no one has ever, whenever there's an eclipse of the sun, no one has ever been able to see the moon approach, eclipse, or exit the face of the sun. They never filmed it from the space station, with infrared. No one's ever been able to see it. We see the eclipse happening, and we're told it's the moon. But here is the real eclipse that I filmed, and here is my fake eclipse. And what I have going on here is this is a rear projection. I'm projecting a light onto a paper towel, and I'm eclipsing it with a cap, which I'll show you in a minute. So now this is a real eclipse. And the eclipse is literally like 85-90% here. It's blowing out the lens. You can't really tell. But we saw this. What is this?
That's
right?
a reflection. Lens flare.
A lens flare.
Lens flare.
Okay, let me explain. Okay. This is a lens flare because it's moving with the lens, but this one is locked in position. No matter how we move the lens, it's locked to the sun. Okay, and now the only reason we can see this is because the sun is 95% eclipsed right now, and it's not as bright, and we're just at the perfect angle, the perfect conditions, and we're able to see it. So pay attention. Watch this. Now, here's my eclipse. I have a rear projection, and I'm going to show you. This is basically, I'm just bringing a circular cap in here, and I'm creating, we don't see the cap approach, we don't see it eclipse, and we don't see it exit. We just see the eclipse, kind of just like we see an eclipse in the sky. So what if the sky is our screen, the source of the sun is beyond that screen, and we're seeing it projected? So here I did it again with a thinner tissue, and here is the projector behind. This is the eclipse projector behind, okay? And when we compare it to a real eclipse, it's the same thing, right? So I just did a demonstration showing you that I can recreate exactly what we see in the sky with a rear projection eclipse. I don't know.
Yeah, but the light is not that heavy when you're doing it in your living room. I mean, it's a totally different strength of that light.
It doesn't matter. What I'm showing you is this is a way that you can have an eclipse that no one could ever photograph the thing that's eclipsing it, how this can be explained as the projector behind the screen of the sky, okay? And let me show you just another way on how we see things like that. So this is a where is it? Here we go. So I have a sheet hanging, dividing my room in two. On the other side, I have a flashlight, which actually has a square lens, but it looks like a sun, and we see it right here. Now, my partner is on my left, and I say, Paige, point to the sun, right? And I'll go over to her point of view, and she's pointing to the sun. She sees it right there on the sheet. So I do a little X on the sheet, and then I move over. I see it over here. She still sees it over here. So we're seeing the sun in two different positions at the same time. And if I eclipse it from behind, it would eclipse. I wouldn't see the thing that's eclipsing it. And it kind of explains what's going on in our sky. Again, I'm just throwing some ideas out there. On the app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, check out the frequently asked questions and click the eclipses. It can be found at flatearthdave.com. And check it out. It's a $3 app. But you don't even need to get the app. Go to the website and take the crash course. I offer 3 Bitcoins if you can watch 5 of the videos in the crash course and then give me 1 globe proof.
Yeah, but you will never give people those 3 Bitcoins, will you? Because you can always explain why their suggestions of the globe model is not so, because you have another very good explanation, though. I mean, it isn't a very interesting debate where the people who believe in the globe model, they have very solid proofs because that's basically well-known science. But also, you and others who are into the field of flat Earth theory, you've also really gone very, very in depth and basically thought of everything to counter question and explain what.
My point is, we can see too far. Okay, you have to come up with a crazy globe excuse why we can see too far. If we look at southern flight routes, have you looked into southern flight routes at all? Southern flight routes prove the Earth is a globe, and people will say, well, it doesn't make any sense because the airlines need to take these routes, right? Buenos Aires to Qatar, they stop in Rome, right? This is where the World Cup was. Right? They left the World Cup, they went to Rome, they got more fuel, and they flew to Buenos Aires. On a flat Earth, it makes perfect sense. On a globe, it makes no sense whatsoever. So let's just look at another one. Why doesn't this flight from Auckland to Cape Town just cut across the bottom of the globe instead of going all the way across the north, right? All the way up to the north, because it's a straight line, practically a straight line on a flat Earth, right? Here's the World Cup again, right? They went over here and then down on a flat Earth. It's a straight line, right? And people say, well, they went to visit the Pope, whatever. I don't buy it, right? But so the answer is the people say, well, they have to go here because it makes more sense for the airline, right? Check this out. You want to go from Santiago to Sydney. It goes all the way up, all the way across, and all the way down. If you want to go from Santiago to Western Australia, well, why don't you just cut across the bottom of the ball? This is even closer on a ball, but they go all the way up, all the way over to China and Singapore and down. If you look at it, Santiago, United States, China, Singapore, it's a straight line.
Every time I fly from Denmark to the United States, we always go across Greenland and over Canada, and if you go to Los Angeles or Las Vegas or something like that. I think it's only you go over London and whatever if you go to New York. And that makes perfect sense on a globe. You can see it there, actually, almost there.
It actually doesn't, right? So, when you go across, they go all the way up and curve over, and they go, well, that's the great circle route. It happens to be a straight line, touching all of the same points on land, right? Touching all of the same points. Here's Greenland, here's Greenland, okay? And when you look at the map, I mean, the whole globe map makes absolutely no sense. But the argument that comes out is the emergency landings, that they actually have to go because they're picking up passengers, they have hubs, whatever. Nonsense. Sometimes on an airplane, somebody dies, somebody has a heart attack, someone's having a baby, they need to land the plane. Here's one. They're going from New York to Hawaii. They had an emergency, and they went all the way up to Seattle, right? Which is 1,000 miles out of the way. How did they get there in 15 minutes? And why did they go there? And the answer is because Seattle is right on that plane route, right?
But what about pilots then? Thousands of pilots should actually come out then and say what we've been told about the globe is not the truth, because I have discovered that the Earth is totally different and it's flat. That's how we have to fly it. I mean, so many would have to come out, and nobody does that.
Well, you're incorrect. You haven't seen. And we've interviewed pilots, and we interviewed a KLM pilot, and the next day she was grounded and fired. Okay. We've talked to many Qantas flights. So those are the pilots that fly out of Australia. They all know the earth is flat, but they say they can't talk about it. They talk about it amongst themselves, but they'll be fired. They'll lose their jobs.
So they have actually come out and talked about it and said it.
On the app, and the frequently asked questions, it says, what about all pilots and scientists? Are they all in on it? Click that, and there's tons of videos of pilots admitting that it's flat. Okay? And they use a flat earth map. Again, Dallas to Beijing, and they went to Calgary. They got there in no time flat. Why did they do that? Okay, I got to show you a couple more, and then this is gonna, the last one is gonna blow your mind. All right, so here's one from New York to Auckland, and right here, emergency. They went to Fiji. Why did they go to Fiji? Right, and the answer is because New York to Auckland, Fiji's right on the line. Here's a zoom in. Boom, Fiji's right there. It's not over where they said it is on a globe.
And you have, and what you're saying is the truth. You have proof that this is what they did. They did land at those specific places. I'm going to show you.
I'm going to show you that exactly. But this is the last one I want to show you. This happened a few months ago, right? Hong Kong, they were going they ended up in Germany, but they're going to the UK, which is right over here. Okay. And it's 12-hour flight, 4 hours into the flight, families flying, little kids, father, mother dies suddenly in her chair, dead. Okay? They could have stopped at 50 different airports along the way, but they didn't. They flew for 8 hours. Could you imagine sitting next to your dead mother for 8 hours as a little kid on an airplane?
Oh my God. Did that really happen?
Yes, it really happened. And the reason is because they were over Russia the whole time. Right? And if they landed in Russia, Russia would probably be very helpful. They'd be the good guys. Can't have that in today's climate. And the other thing is, why the hell are we flying over Russia? Well, pilots admit they fly over Russia all the time. Most of the time, pilots have no idea where they are except when they're taking off and when they're landing because they don't fly. Right? The plane flies itself. Right? And
the plane flies itself?
Plane autopilot takes it the whole way. The pilots take off and land. Guess who's in charge of all international flights, all major flights? Guess who's in charge of the flight routes? NASA. Okay? So when you look at it, and again, don't believe anything. I just showed you a whole bunch of memes. But my friend Eddie, Flat Earth USA Banjo, or Flat Earth Banjo, whatever you call him, he wrote a book called 16 Emergency Landings. It's free online. There's a PDF. You can look it up, or you can order it from lulu.com. It's a great coffee table book, and he documents everything. All the news articles, the flight routes, the times, everything, where they landed. It's all documented for you. All the work is done. We've done the work for you. Okay? And when you look at this, there's no denying it. And there's more than 16 now because people are dying suddenly all the time.
You were actually recently in a very, very heated debate with a rather now pretty famous YouTuber called Professor Dave. Well, you share the same name, though.
Well,
but his name's Professor Dave, he calls himself.
And I'm Professor Flat Earth Dave because I declare myself to be a professor, just like the failed musician declares himself to be a professor. And he now admits, which is not even true, that he has consultants and, he doesn't know anything, but he consults with other people.
Yeah, but he went to the university and got the degrees and whatever, didn't he?
So he has no degrees.
Okay, but you went into this heated debate. And I'm just going to talk about this because this was quite eye-opening, obviously. And clearly this guy was not very nice and foul language and name calling and all the kinds of things that we do not want on this channel.
A child would.
No, we don't like that kind of discussion on this channel. Certainly, I know they do it a lot, and I've also seen a lot of flat earthers go really berserk and use a lot of profanity and name calling when they want to get there. When they are trying to present their case, which they don't do very successfully then, because they come across really aggressive and not very like nice people. Let's just say it in that way. Why do people act that way? Why do a lot of people go against each other? That's really a war against, they're just throwing mud at each other. Why can't you have a nice and decent discussion even though you might disagree?
I don't know. People are, people have spirits that, attach themselves to their spinal cords. I don't know what it is, right? People lose their minds. There's a bunch of flat earthers out there that just argue horribly. They're they're very good, very talented. They know their stuff, but they swear, they attack, they do horrible stuff. They even attack each other. I don't care. That's not me. I don't do that. But in the app.
So can I just let's go back to your app.
Let me answer your question.
Okay.
That debate is pushed by Google. Use Google anything flat Earth, that goes to the top of the list. However, Google doesn't understand. People like you watch and go, well, why is that professor acting like that? And that's going to make you more interested in finding the truth. Why is he behaving like that? The truth is, he just uses logical fallacies and ad homs. And we have a very an independent channel that's not flat Earth that examines debates based on logic, right? So if you click debunking the debunkers, right in there, the top one is the Professor Dave debate, and he literally keeps score of all of the ad homs and logical fallacies. And Dave, not a real Professor Dave, broke the record for the most logical fallacies ever in a debate. So
but what's his thing? I mean, why do you think that he wants to repeat what we already know, what is official science? What's his goal? What does he get from this? Why does he do it, do you think?
Well, I go back and forth between paid or possessed. A lot of people say, oh, he's a paid shill. I don't know if it's a paid shill. I think he's possessed, but he is paid. His video, he did one, which is all just nonsense and straw man arguments, saying, oh, flat earthers think this, not true. And that's why this, which is his belief or his thing. Absolutely ridiculous, but he got 10 million views on it. That's $40,000. Okay, he's making lots of money from YouTube, and you search anything flat Earth, he shows up at the top, right? So he
is not shadow banned or ghosted by YouTube. No. Is that how it is?
He's promoted. Like, you can search.
He's promoted. Free flow.
You can search A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth 21 Questions, which is one of the greatest videos that'll turn anyone into a flat earther in one sitting, and Professor Dave's stuff will come up, and not that video. But again, in my app, go down to the Flat Earth movies, hit that one. I guarantee that you can't get through 3 of these videos without becoming a globe denier, at least.
So, I have 200 million questions here also from people. I don't think we can go through it actually today, but I would love, because I find it very fascinating now that we are going totally open-minded here, to go back to that whole, you said, oh, there are so many ties to Star Wars, this fascinating movie universe, and on the other side of the ice wall and all those continents. And we talk about this alien... The existence of aliens.
I highly recommend this book, The Navigator Across the Ice Wall. Check it out. It's a cheap book. You get it on Amazon. Read it and think Star Wars here on a scientifically possible flat plane. It's fascinating, right? But here's the thing. I want the right to explore Antarctica. That's all we're asking for.
You're never going to get that, huh?
No, we won't. Because on the app, again, if you hit the question mark, and you go to What About Antarctica, there's a video called Sorry, Antarctica is Closed. And you watch that. One of our guys who's a lawyer showed you how you can't, they will never let you explore Antarctica. So again, you got to ask yourself, why are they hiding Antarctica from us? There's something to it.
But why, and I asked you that a long time ago today.
Why the lie?
But why do they lie? Yes, why are they globalism? Why is everything a globe then if you believe it's flat? Why do we have to have that perception? Why do we need to do that? And also, in the beginning of the show today, you said collective consciousness. We talked about law of attraction. Whatever you think manifests. But if we collectively can manifest things within this, what we do expect to be a holographic universe in a way, that's at least how we have also come to understand it here. We talked a lot about this being a holographic illusion. So if we all believe it's a globe, doesn't it turn into a globe? Doesn't it manifest as a globe, like law of attraction?
Yeah, so let me give you the final answer on this. They're hiding more land. They're hiding technology. They're hiding that you're at the center of creation. They're hiding the true power of your mind, right? There's 3 laws: divine law, which is the law of God; common law, which is the law of the land; and then statute law, admiral maritime law, is the law of the sea, or man's law. And in order to convince man to give up his divine rights and their common rights, you have to convince them that they're not divinely created and in a divine world. And they put us in the prison of a heliocentric globe where pond scum turned into a fish, it turned into a squirrel, it turned into a monkey, it turned into a human, right? That makes you insignificant. It makes you flying through an infinite universe. It makes you weak. It limits your thoughts. They're hiding cures. They're hiding our true divinity. They're hiding our true power. I believe that your thoughts can move mountains, but they've taken that power away from us. You look at all of the old buildings, all of the old structure of the old world. We can't even fathom how they did it back then. And some people think they did it with thought. Well, they've taken our thoughts, they've calcified our pineal glands, they've limited us, they've locked us into a globe. And, you know, when people say, why the lie? If you can't see the lie, it's kind of hard to understand that the war that we're in. This is the most important deception that they have, because with it, they control us. They keep us weak. They keep our lives short. They keep us sick. And they keep us limited in our ability to manifest.
How can we break out from this, let's say, prison planet system and away from this mind control, the collective mind control, the frequency control, everything, as Nikola Tesla says, everything is frequencies, energy, and vibration. So how can we change that? How can we break through and go away from this satanic spell that is holding us captured?
There's 2 things that we need to do. One is get off of their playing field, get off of their globe, and realize that we are in an expansive, incredible, limitless, resourceful, filled, not overpopulated, magical, incredible world, and that we're incredibly powerful beings. And the second one is to get off their monopoly money, right? Because they control us with money, and they control us with putting our minds in the heliocentric prison. Once you if everybody watched this interview, let's say it goes super viral and every person in the world sees it, and they go, you know what? Dave's right. And all of a sudden, every government in the world is immediately powerless, and is over. It's over. All the universities in the world will have to close and retool. Okay, and it's the governments that govern the mind control, government. Okay, that are keeping us in these prisons. And it's not, you know, the people say, oh, the governments, they can't even keep, you know, blowjob a secret in the White House, right? That's all mind control. These aren't the people that are pulling the strings. These are puppets from the real controllers. And we don't have, most people are like, well, we're on a globe. There are no other places for controllers to hide. Well, yeah, there's advanced civilizations, in my opinion, beyond Antarctica, and we want the right to explore. And, you know, we have a divine right to explore and travel and, you know, become reach our full potential, right? And that's the reason. The reason is not just mind control, it's to keep us weak, imprisoned. And I believe it's a soul trap. I believe that, you know, with all the stuff that's going on right now, and, you know, manipulation of our bodies and everything, that they're literally trying to keep us here to power their world. It's like The Matrix. The Matrix is a documentary, basically, showing you that we are powering their fear-based system.
So what is AI, artificial intelligence, the super brain computer, that where they want to harvest our, well, of course, our body and that frequency, but also on a soul level, they actually also want to harvest that for mind control and keep us locked in and feed us opinions, memories, and whatever, which is, of course, what we talked about is the future and probably already happening. What is that artificial machine? Is that actually God? Not a good God.
As I was talking about before, every point is a 0 point, and it's connected to every other point. So all of the information in the world is held within every point. So is that the collective mind? You know, maybe we are all just pieces of God. Maybe souls are all just God's mind spread out having an experience. Again, these are thoughts that are beyond the physical form. You know, pure consciousness is non-physical, and it spirals downwards, getting denser and denser and denser, and at the very bottom is the physical world that we live in. It's the lowest, densest place in well, I don't want to say reality, it's the lowest, densest place, and that's where the flat Earth exists. That's where physical reality. And when we're done, we spiral back up to 0 point to pure consciousness again, and then either we come here, we go somewhere else. I don't know. I haven't been. I think that we're here with selective amnesia, and there's people that know how.
So
this
when
world
we
works.
die, do we go outside of the physical dome and this physical territory, or
the heavens above might be the non-physical heavens. They might be right where we look up. Where they say, we're 90% water or whatever the number is. We're 70% water. Water holds memory. Water is, a drop of water could hold terabytes of information. Well, look at the clouds, right? Maybe those are non-physical entities. This is just me talking. I'm just, spitballing. Maybe the heavens are right there in front of us. Maybe all of the spraying of our sky is literally a war on the heavens, on angelic, clouds. Think about water. Water is the most incredible substance on earth, and it delivers itself to wherever it's needed all the time, right? Is that done by random high pressure and low pressure systems, or is that done intelligently? Again, this world is not what we think it is. Our history is completely a lie, and they have us trapped in a ball and believing, having fantasies about space.
Suppose that you are right about flat Earth and the theory and everything you've explained today, and it's only a little bit. We've actually only just scratched the surface here. So we really only have. So we can do more another time maybe. But to understand it and maybe to wake up to it, and people say, okay, flat Earth, Dave, is right. Now they understand it, and then you say, now they're free. But we're not free. We're still in this slave system. We still have to put bread on the table. We still have to be enslaved by the New World Order, One World Government, Great Reset, UN Agenda, whole plan here. I mean, how do we break free from the whole prison thing? That was the main question. Even though we wake up to your truth, that could be a truth or not, how does it change? How does it change anything for us?
How does waking up change? Because when you unlock yourself from the heliocentric prison, you free your mind to create the reality where you want. I mean, I worked in corporate America. I left corporate America, started my own business. I had everything. I did what they call the American dream. I was making more money than I ever thought I'd make. And I walked away from it all to follow what I felt is an important truth, to speak to people like you, to help people break free of their space fantasy and claim their divinity back.
And how did you, just here in our remaining moments, Dave, how did you actually wake up to this, or how did this become your truth, and why did you go down this very controversial path? People don't just do that because it's easy for them, is it? Or
yeah, no,
they?
It definitely wasn't easy. And I did a conspiracy podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, looking at all of the deceptions that are going on in the world. And when Flat Earth was introduced to me, I laughed at it, and I banned people for even suggesting that I look at it. Like, you're never allowed to comment on that stuff again. You're too dumb. And then I went in with a closed mind to disprove it, and I tried really hard for weeks. And then I was like, wow, there's something to this. And then I was like, well, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. As I told you early, I'm in Mexico for 2 months. Okay. I'm having a good time. I'm actually working hard. I'm talking to you. I'm doing lots of stuff, but I freed up my life. And
you could do that financially, and you were okay.
Yeah. I can do it financially, and I'm waking up millions of people. Look at this map.
But can you do that because you make money from presenting all of these things here?
I was making more money than I'm making now when I worked and I had my own business, and the business was doing fantastic. This is not about
okay. So
money.
you put some of that money away, and now you can live from that.
Well, it's not about money. This is about a message, and this is a divine message. And
yeah, but we're still in a slave system. We have to make money, unfortunately.
Wow, Dave, you really woke me up. You took me out of depression. I was addicted to drugs. I was depressed, or I was just clueless. And now that you've woken me up, my whole life is different. I met the love of my life. I love what I'm doing now. I moved. It frees people's minds. It takes them out of that slave mentality. Look, this is the United States. These are people that have my app. This is called the Friend Finder. You can actually find people near you and communicate with them. and you can do video calls with them, and you can send text messages, you can send group messages out. You can, you can find people all over, like-minded people. I've never met a blue dot I don't like. Every single one of them.
Do people have to pay a lot for that, or if they want your app? Well, how does it work?
$3.
Pardon?
The app is, did you say how much is the app? It's $3.
No, yeah. Okay, so it's not like people can easily access that and afford it.
It's so the app is $3. You get 95% of the stuff on it for life for $3. If you want to message people or use profiles, those are basically the two things. You have to subscribe. And ready for this? The subscription is $11 a year, but if you don't want to pay it, you can just refer the app to 11 people, and then you get the subscription for free. So it's like, hey, check out this app. So don't refer it unless you're like, anyone that hears about Flat Earth, they're like, where can I find more information? You're like, well, the easiest way is on this app.
So you've actually created this community, this network. People can talk to like-minded people, and there's an ongoing information flow there. And I know certainly that you work hard to spread the message here. And I think yes,
so
this is where you are right now. Okay. Yeah.
I'm in a beta test group, and I just started a video call. So anyone in this group at any time can jump on this call, and people are having the most amazing conversations, right? You can send out a link message to everyone near you and say, hey, I'm going to call this the Cancun group. Jump in. Let's get on a call. And people start talking, and they're on this thing for hours and hours and hours. If I wait just a few minutes, people will start jumping on, and you can have amazing conversations with, and we've done it up to like 70 people, and it's crazy. So again,
and people can get that app and access that information on your website, flatearthdave.com. Is that how it is?
Flatearthdave.com is the easiest way to find it, because they already have, controlled opposition on the Google Play Store, where they're have an app by the same name, and it basically gives you just anti-flat Earth information. And it's horrible. And what happens is people get that app, and then they leave me. They send me. Here's somebody's jumping on right now. They send me, saying, "Oh, your app sucks," and I'm like, it's not my app, right? So here's somebody that's jumping on. They're driving in their car. They're just saying hello, and I'm on a show right now, just demonstrating the app guy. And so more and more people can jump on, and literally, people. I'm gonna hang up right now. Thanks for jumping on. People can literally find new friends. People are like they need to hire somebody. They send out a radius message like, hey, I have this job. People are getting jobs. People are finding best friends. People are finding partners. People are having babies because of this.
Wow, this is like the Flat Earth Tinder app.
It's not. You know what? I think Tinder is a very cheap thing. I think flat earthers are much more wholehearted and more serious than people that are just jumping on Tinder to get laid.
Okay, great. Well, this, and we can certainly go on. There are so many things we didn't get to talk about. I have a million questions here that I never got to ask, but we did have a very fascinating and wonderful and in-depth debate for over 2 hours now, and I think this is a wonderful place to end for today at least, but it would be great to have you on the show again at some other point. And I just want to say, it's been fascinating, mind-blowing. People can research this a lot more to see if they believe it or they don't believe it. But certainly, Dave Weiss, we really appreciate you being on here to talk about it in a very great and informative way. Thank you so much for being on Age of Truth TV, Flat Earth Dave. Thanks, Lucas. And check it out, flatearthdave.com, and we'll talk about it. We'll see you next time. Check it out. Check out the FAQs, and your mind will be blown, guaranteed. Thank you. This was a very nice conversation, huh? Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you very much to Dave Weiss, Flat Earth Dave, for being on Age of Truth TV. You can support us by clicking onto our website, ageoftruth.tv. And please like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell for notifications. You can also sign up for our newsletter on our website, ageoftruth.tv as well. Please also subscribe to our alternative channels on BitChute and Brighteon. Your support is greatly needed and very appreciated. On behalf of the Age of Truth TV team, we thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.